There really is space for everyone on the internet, which again, like in 2017, we were like, no, there isn't. YouTube is so saturated. There's no space anymore. Let's be real. 5 years later, we're still saying the same thing, but I still think it's true. There's still space for everybody on the internet.
Hey guys, welcome to Creators Campfire. My name's BHAV, I'm your host, and in this week's episode, I sit down with Mayuko, a software engineer that worked in Silicon Valley up until 2020, when she quit her job to become a full-time content creator. Mayuko has over 500,000 subscribers on her YouTube channel, where she makes lifestyle videos and talks about her experiences working in the tech industry. In this episode, Mayuko talked to me about what it was like working in and leaving Silicon Valley, how she grew her YouTube channel whilst juggling a full-time job and wedding planning, and how she managed to go viral from her very first YouTube video. Enjoy. Mayuko, you are a software engineer and you've worked for the likes of Patreon and Netflix. First things first, what is that like? And what's it like working in like Silicon Valley?
So I like the way that I like to describe it is Silicon Valley is like the Hollywood for software engineers, anybody in tech kind of thing, right? And so I didn't grow up in Silicon Valley. I didn't go to school in Silicon Valley. So I moved there after college. So I definitely went in there just like bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. I was like, what is this place? It's like so technology advanced and like Apple's here, Google's here, Facebook's here. Like literally one of the most techie places on earth, maybe I would venture to say. But yeah, I worked in Silicon Valley for about 6 years or so, and it was fun. It's a very interesting place. Like it literally, I think if you've heard anything about Hollywood, it's like, yes, you've got Beverly Hills, you've got A-list celebrities, you've got all these like production studios and stuff, but then you also have everyone else who's like trying to make it, waiting tables, like have 20 different roommates and who are like really just trying to break into the industry. It's a little bit less so in tech because it's easier to break in because there's more jobs in tech and such, but it's that same kind of like ubiquity where it's like everywhere you go, you're surrounded by technology. To some extent, it's like a little too much because like you go on vacation and then you come back and like it's just like work mode all of a sudden. Because that's also just my context where it was just like anytime I went somewhere, forgot about technology, came back, you just sitting in a cafe and you hear about like this newest thing. And I'm just like, bro, please.
Right.
Oh, I was going to say, it is just a really interesting place though because of like the ubiquity brings people from everywhere to Silicon Valley. And so it's really interesting in that you get to just meet so many different people who are working literally on like the coolest, latest tech that gets sent out to everywhere. And so that's the people really make it a very interesting place. Otherwise, geographically speaking, NorCal is beautiful in a lot of ways. Some really great hikes, beautiful trees, beautiful Bay Area. But otherwise, it's pretty suburban and it's like pretty dang normal. There's no flying cars or anything like that.
What? That's not what I've been told.
I was so disappointed literally when I went and I was like, there's just strip malls and it's suburbs and there's minivans. Like, this is everywhere else like America.
They lied to me.
Yeah.
Did you, like, how long did you want to work there? Because obviously there's a thing about Silicon Valley of you know, that's the place to be, which I guess it is, but a lot of people just dream of that. Like, how much thought and kind of prep or like, you know, goal setting or whatever you want to call it did you put into, hey, I want to go and work for you know, one of these big tech companies?
Yeah, I think that started right when I was in college. So like I never had any intention to go into tech pre-college, but I just happened to like stumble upon computer science, if you believe that. So I was very lucky to like just find it and then be like, wow, there's this whole industry that's like very lucrative and very promising and very cool. And I think like as soon as I found that and realized like I was going to be a software engineer post-college, that's when I was kind of like, oh, okay, the place to go is Silicon Valley. Like you just hear about it from everyone and anywhere whenever you're plugged into technology. I think a part of it was also like I grew up in San Diego, California. I went to school in San Diego, California, and I was like, I want to leave and I want to go somewhere else. Like I didn't have that chance to like be like, I'm a girl from a small town in a big city kind of thing. And Silicon Valley was like the opportunity where I was like, I want to go to San Francisco Bay Area and an environment that I'm not super comfortable with. Yes, it's an hour plane flight from San Diego, so it's not that far, but it's different enough. And so that was me in my early 20s of I was like I was very determined to get to Silicon Valley. And so after I graduated, I worked in San Diego for a year, and then I did an internal transfer at my company. And like from day one at that first job in San Diego, I was like, my goal is to go to the San Francisco Bay Area. So like, how can we make this happen? And then it happened.
That's awesome. I love that. Did you ever think, I guess once you're there and you've dreamt it, or you've gone, this is where I want to be, and you've set that and you've set your sights for it and then you make it. Did you ever think you would leave it?
Yeah. I mean, I ultimately did. In like June of 2020, mid-pandemic, I moved back to San Diego. And so that was, I lived there for about 5 years or so. And I think around like year 3 or 4 was kind of just like, okay, I get it now. Not sure if I see a long-term future here in the Bay Area. And I think that had a lot to do with, honestly, like housing prices. Like I was just like, okay, in order for me to kind of like grow up here, start a family here, I don't know if this is the best city to do it, just because it's so expensive to live in the Bay Area. I'm sure like to people in the UK, it's like London is just like so like expensive, right? Like stupidly expensive. And it's like that in the Bay, where it's just like, yeah, ideally it'd be great, but like who has that kind of money to put down on a house, sort of thing? Even with these really lucrative tech jobs and stuff. Like my husband and I both were working in tech. We both had tech salaries, both software engineers, but we were kind of just like, yeah, no, it's still really hard, because how do you compete with these other people who IPO'd and have like just cash to just put out on a $2 million house? So we just sensed that there was like this uphill battle that we'd have to climb. We knew that like we wanted to start a family at some point, and we were just like, yeah, we knew that schools were really competitive. And I think my husband and I, we were just like, yeah, I don't know, these things are great. Like there's nothing wrong with them inherently. It's a really great place to live. And, you get a lot of opportunities there, but we also knew what it was like to live in San Diego, where it's a lot more chill. People are very friendly, like maybe not as career driven, but like really enjoy life. And we're like, we just resonate with that a lot more. So yeah, around like 4 year mark, we're like, yeah, maybe it's okay to leave now. So I think we were like done with it by that point, and then we left.
Yeah, that sounds very similar to London. It's the place to be in your like early 20s, when you're kind of growing up and you know, you just moving out for the first time or whatever. That's the place to be. And then you kind of, you know, grow up a little. You kind of realize this is not necessarily a place for life, or to, you know, put down roots. It's like, I've done it. I've kind of lived it, and now I'm gonna move out and go and settle somewhere. So yeah, which like some people choose to stay in those like really urban areas, and that's like great. And like that, I'm happy for them that they found that. But like I'm just like, I need more space. I need the ocean nearby. Like, I think at a certain point we were both just like, we know what we want, and it's not here in the Bay. And so we were able to move away. Nice. Well, boys who are out there, you've obviously started a YouTube channel, which is I guess why we're here. So talk to me about that, and why you started a YouTube channel in the first place.
Yeah, so I started my YouTube channel in 2017. I was working at Patreon at the time as an iOS software engineer. So the whole kind of like Patreon honestly was like it was so fun working there. Like the whole reason for me working there to begin with was because I wanted to combine my skills of like building iOS apps and like doing software engineering with an area that I was really passionate about, which was like content creation, creative arts. Like I grew up with YouTube, and I was just like, I really have freaking loved YouTube for like 10 plus years. And so it was really cool to get to work there and work on stuff that, you know, helps creators get paid. And that summer of 2017, I went to VidCon with my team because we were releasing like a new feature, and we're like, okay, let's go and like talk about this new thing that we're releasing, and also just like get to know creators and understand like how they work, like what makes them tick, like gain some creator empathy so that we can do a better job. And I was just ecstatic because I was just like, VidCon, that's where all the big YouTubers go. This is right? YouTube land. Like literally it's the internet coming to life, right?
Yes.
And so I went, and you know, I was like, yes, I'm here to become a better software engineer for my company. And then I went to all these sessions that were like, how to light your video well, and what cameras do you need to use, and like how do you come up with like content strategy. And by the end of it, I was like, I think I can make my own YouTube channel, maybe. Like I think I can do it. And so I had this idea for a very long time to make a video about a day in the life of a software engineer. And part of why that came up was because around that time I was like getting really interested and involved in the diversity and inclusion efforts in the tech tech industry of like trying to diversify the tech workforce and making a more inclusive place to work. And I was kind of just like, yeah, I'm an Asian American woman who made it to tech. I'm a senior software engineer at a startup in San Francisco. I think to some extent I've made it, and I don't know how that happened, but like I guess I'm here. And
hard work.
Right. Yeah. I was just like, I guess like, I mean, I worked hard in college, but also it was like a little bit of luck, like privilege, all of that. But I was also just like, wow, like I'm here now. Like this is cool. And I just didn't really feel like my experience was super reflected in the tech headlines in like The Verge and stuff that was just like Facebook raised $2.9 billion or like whatever crypto thing. I don't know, like whatever the headlines were at the time, it sounded very just like aggressively masculine and money driven. And I was just like, I'm just here to have a good time and enjoy the work that I do and enjoy my coworkers and build cool stuff. And so that's kind of like where I was just like, hey, but like, I feel like the life that I live is pretty quote unquote normal to me. And it's not this kind of like movie, like there's climactic crazy things happening in my day to day. Like I get up, go to work and come back and chill. And so I made this video, which is like no dialogue, lo-fi music the whole way. I walk you through my day from when I wake up to when I go to sleep. And that was my very first video. And then it went viral, which I had no idea would happen. I literally posted on Facebook and I was like, I would be so happy if 100 people viewed this because maybe 100 of my friends will watch it. And then like YouTube algorithm was like, oh, hey, viewership's really good. Click-through rate's awesome. Average view duration's looking hot. And it started kind of boosting everything. And so, yeah, I kind of just kept making videos since then. About like software engineering and tech and also just like my lifestyle stuff. Like I combined all these different aspects of me, as well as like combined all the things that I love about YouTube, about like getting to know somebody and their life and their personhood and getting to see a glimpse into their life. And honestly, I've been doing it ever since. I'm still here.
Yeah, you have.
Yeah.
Okay, so many questions. I'm going to take this step by step.
Okay.
Did you think before you went to VidCon, subconsciously or consciously, like deep down, that you actually wanted to be a YouTuber? Or was it just VidCon completely that threw it out there?
Yeah, I think deep down, I had always wanted to be a YouTuber since I was in high school. But I just didn't know like what I would make. Like for the longest time, I was just like, I'll be one of those like singers on YouTube or something that just makes covers and whatnot. But like I just never could get to the point of like really like sitting down, recording and uploading it. And I think maybe just I knew that like that wasn't what I really wanted to do or what I was really called to do rather. Like there wasn't that like initial energy or motivation to do it. And I think VidCon really unlocked a lot of things for me because it dispelled all these like myths that I had about being a YouTuber. One such thing was like, oh, you have to have the best camera or the best gear or else like why post? And I went to a panel.
Which still isn't true.
Right, I know, which is wild, right? 2017 we were just like, yes. Oh yeah, like Sony A7 cameras were like starting to become a big thing, and then we're like, okay, yeah, like you clearly need a great DSLR camera. We have even more advanced stuff now, and it's like videos on iPhones are still probably the most viewed and most popular.
For sure.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, that was like a huge thing that was a spell for me. That like, so I went to a panel and some guy was like, the best camera that you can shoot with is the one that you already own. And I was like, what? Are you serious? My iPhone can do that? So literally my first video was all shot on my iPhone 7, edited with iMovie, and I didn't really spend any money on it because I was just like, this, I mean, this is just what I want to make. So yeah, I think VidCon just like helped me get over that hump. And then it also, through going to VidCon, like helped me to clarify like what is it that I want to make or what is it that I could make. And I think it was because I was just so exposed to so many different kinds of creators there who are doing really unique things. And it made me realize like there really is space for everyone on the internet. Which again, like in 2017, we were like, no, there isn't. Like YouTube is so saturated. There's no space anymore. Let's be real. 5 years later, we're still saying the same thing, but I still think it's true. There's still space for everybody on the internet.
Agreed. 100% agreed. Okay, so you come out of VidCon and you've got this idea. How long before you actually film that day in the life?
I think honestly it was like the week after I filmed it, and like hot tips, like quick secret, I think it wasn't actually a day in the life, it was like 3 days in the life that got compressed into one video.
Love it.
So I like try to wear the same thing to work for 3 days in a row, and I was like, I promise I wash this every day. Like
it's all for the content. It's important.
Yeah. And at the time I was like, I don't know how to plan shoots or anything like that. So, and like, I was so nervous about filming in public too, because I'm like vlogging my day. And so that week that I filmed, definitely, I learned a lot just by doing it. And then I think I edited it that weekend, and then I posted it like the week after. So it came together really fast.
You seem comfortable on camera. I know you're not in it for like all of it, and it's kind of you showing stuff around, but like as you're filming, you seem, and I'm terrible at vlogs. I tried once and it was a horrendous thing, but like you seem like you knew what you were doing is what I'm trying to say. Even if you kind of internally maybe didn't, it came across. Or clearly the numbers speak for themselves. You don't need me to tell you, but like watching it, it was like, hang on, this person knows what they're doing. Like it's a vlog.
That's so interesting that you say that, because I watch myself in it and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing at all. Like what is like I clearly am so lost just by watching myself doing this. But that's the thing. That's the interesting thing about video, right? People can walk away with completely different things.
You obviously start this channel, and before you publish, what are your expectations, if any, of your YouTube channel, and what maybe goals or things that have you set for yourself as you go in? So some people are like, I'm going to post consistently for 2 years, once every week or anything. Did you have anything like that, or was it just first video and we'll deal with the rest afterwards?
Yeah. So I think after that first video, I maybe wrote down some ideas for other videos that I had. I was just like, what are other things that I can like teach or like talk about in my life that are like kind of tangential to this one? And it's funny because if you watch maybe like my first 5 videos, in the very beginning of each video, I'll like kind of pre-qualify everything with just like, I guess I'm back and I'm making another video, and like, or like, I guess I'm making a video about this today. And in one of my videos, I think it was like the 6 reasons why I love software engineering or something like that. In the very beginning, I literally state my intentions where I'm just like, I'm here, and I guess I have a YouTube channel now, and my goal here is that if I can just help one person like navigate the tech industry better, or I don't remember the exact words that I said, but something like that, then I'll be so happy. And like, so I set my expectations really low. I was like, I just need to help one person out there with my videos. That's all I want. And it's funny because I think like in tech, in the tech industry and software development, when you're creating a new product, like that's actually a very common principle of just like, you need to help solve the problem for one person first before you can solve it for many. And I think that's kind of where it came from, where I was just like, okay, I at least just want to help one person. Like if I don't know how to do that, then how am I going to build for the masses kind of thing? Not that I had that in mind or anything, but I was just like, I just want to know what it would be like to like do this, just even if it's like, honestly, a lot of my content is for like a younger version of myself, and that might have been like that one person that I was trying to help. So that's kind of where it started, and I just kept making videos. But I was also like at the time there weren't many other channels like mine that talked about career stuff in this way. There was like coding tutorial videos, there was like resume building videos, but nothing that really combined like lifestyle, career, and technology together. And so I was really just like walking around in the dark, like not knowing what to create. And my friend Jarvis Johnson also created his YouTube channel at the same time. And him and I both, we were just like, we don't know what we're doing, but we're kind of having fun. And so we made this rule for ourselves before we labeled ourselves as like a tech channel or a lifestyle channel. We were like, maybe we should just like practice making videos. So we had this rule where we're like, okay, the first 20 videos don't matter. Whatever comes to mind, whatever we want to make, just make it, and then like see how that goes, because like we're still learning how to operate the camera. We're still learning how to edit and stuff. And it really helped take the pressure off, because then we didn't have to like think about our packaging or our branding or what we're about before we even knew how to walk, basically. And so, yeah, my first 20 videos are kind of sporadic and everywhere, but it really did set up a foundation for what my channel is now, which is still career tech and life. So yeah, it's interesting how it all came together, but it was a very gradual process, actually.
Yeah, I love that mindset, because it's so easy to overthink these things and then not end up doing anything and kind of think, hey, I need to have everything perfect from the beginning, or I need to know exactly where this channel is going in 50 videos time or something. Totally. It's like, no, phone. Just
I know.
I think
it's interesting because it's like YouTube's one of those things that's just like so easily accessible that if you say you want to be a YouTuber, what you do is watch all of your favorite YouTube channels, right? And like they're all so polished, and like the product that you're seeing right now is like a result of months or years of work. Even before they started making videos, like maybe they were doing video production and they were doing creative writing or something that served as a foundation for these things. So it's like so easy, I think, to be like, I have to make as good videos as Peter McKinnon or else I didn't make it. And it's just like, that's ridiculous. Like he's put in so many years. He has so much knowledge, even pre-YouTube. He was probably working on a lot of that stuff. And I think it's like the best thing I feel like with creative work like this is like, yes, you could compare yourself to the great masters or the experts in the field that everyone celebrates, but you really just have to go in and do it and try it and like forgive yourself for being bad at it at first, because everyone starts somewhere.
Yeah, like how many things do you try that you're actually just good at from the begining? Like it's no different to anything else.
The more that I think about it, the more I'm just like, there's no such thing as like a born genius. Like I know we talk about like Mozart was just like this like genius who was just like was playing piano since he could walk kind of thing. But I'm just like, I think he just spent a lot of time playing, like probably every waking moment. And that was like his calling. If everyone practiced as much as Mozart, like maybe we could all be Mozarts too, you know, like we don't know what the world exactly looked like or who he surrounded himself with. I feel like I'm angering a lot of classical musician people out there, but
it's fine. They probably don't listen. Yeah. It's a really weird thing. I think it's because you put a face to it with YouTube, but there seems to be an extra thing about doing YouTube, that there's an extra layer of fear that you have to be perfect from the beginning, which I guess it's because you're put yourself out there in a slightly different way. But again, how many things do you just start and you know what you're doing? It's
hard because I think like all you see is the end product of somebody's thing. Like I think like YouTube is the same as like probably like fine art or like photography or something, where like you see the product of it, but you don't see all the things that it took to get there, of like gathering the equipment that you need, or like having the inspiration, or having like rock bottom days where you're like, I can't make anything and this is really hard, to like all the conversations you have with your friends and family and mentors about like, what the heck am I doing with my life? To, you know, all the things that are actually involved with creating things like editing and writing and post-production and all of that sort of thing. And like, that was one of the things that I was like really surprised about in my early days of like, holy crap, like it takes a lot of time to make a YouTube video. Like what the heck? Like it takes me 40 hours to edit this one video that's like 5-6 minutes. Like what? I don't understand.
Total mismatch. Yeah, I think that's actually a big thing. Is I think people think YouTube is pick up a camera, film, and upload, whereas actually there's it's a full-time job. But like, there's so many different parts to it that I think people don't actually appreciate until they start to do it.
Totally. Yeah. I heard this thing recently about just like the more effortless it looks, the more effort went into it. And I'm like, oh, that's so true. Because sometimes you do watch a channel and you're just like, this person definitely just picked up a camera, press record, and went. But then like, because they're literally, I'm just like, it's so interesting to watch YouTube videos with that lens of just like, what happened in order for all of this to get here. And I think it's just like, it's like a bias that we have where it's just like, I don't know, some person had a spark of inspiration and they hit record and then like out came the video. But that's like, I think, I don't know if it's entirely untrue, because there truly are videos where someone just hit record. But like, I think that's in the minority.
Yes. Okay, so we've talked about that, and most people when they start will only get a few views, but like you said, you went viral from your first one.
No pressure.
Right, which is awesome. But what is going through your mind? Because I imagine that actually adds like pressure onto you. What were you going through when you suddenly saw the numbers going up, and what was it like going through that?
Yeah, literally, I was just like, what what is happening and why is it happening and what should I be doing? Like it was really cool to see the numbers go up, but yeah, like you said, it was like frightening because I was just like, 100,000 people watch this video, like from where, why, how did they, like, I don't understand what they found so interesting about like watching my commute to work kind of thing. So I
found it interesting.
Oh, thank you. You know, I mean, I have these answers now, right? Because it's just I've spent so much time thinking about it, but at the time it was very like weird, and I was like, wait, but I still don't have a camera, and I still am trying to figure out my sound. Like literally, the sound quality of my initial videos were so terrible because I'm still trying to figure things out, and it's weird because all of a sudden you have all these eyes, and you're just like, wait, I promise I'll get you something good, but I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm sorry. And like that's what it feels like when you're just like shoved on stage with 1,000 people and you're just like, I wasn't prepped for this whatsoever. So I reached out to so when I was working at Patreon, my desk was literally like 20 feet away from Jack Conte's, the CEO of Patreon. And he's like a prolific YouTuber, started many channels and stuff like that. And I went to Jack because I was like, I didn't have like big creator friends at the time, right? And I was like, he's just right there. And I was like, Jack, what am I supposed to do? I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And I think I went to him when I hit like 10,000 subs. That was like, you know, the milestone where you get to like choose your URL name or something like that. And I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing and I need help, please. And such a nice guy. He was like, I got you, Mayuko. We're going to spend 30 minutes. We're going to talk about it. Like, we'll figure it out together. And I'm like, okay, thank you. And what we did was a really good exercise where he just like spitball like all these questions that really helped me to figure out like what was I doing on YouTube. And there were like these really like deep introspective questions that he asked me, and then he was just like, say the first thing that comes to your mind and then I'm gonna write it down. And so there were all these like really raw like responses to questions like, what are you good at? Like why are you like what is your audience like? What do you want your weekends to be like? What do you want to be good at, kind of stuff. Or like, imagine it's a year from now, everything went perfect. Like, what happened? And that really helped me to just be like, okay, I'm not just like panicking about what's going on. I have a sense of like, why am I doing this? It gave me kind of purpose, I guess, which I think in any work, it is helpful to like know why you're doing it. And like, usually those things come with time, like as you're doing them. But I feel like I needed those answers quicker because I was just like, all of a sudden I have to perform under pressure. And so what came out of that was Jack was like, I do this with my wife, who he has a band with, like basically every year. And then we basically create a plan for the rest of the year of what we're doing based on these answers. And so that's kind of what I did, where I was just like, okay, like I read all the things that I said in that document. And then I was like, okay, I think this means that I'm going to keep making YouTube videos about software engineering stuff. And it gave me a sense, like it gave birth to like actual video ideas and like what to do with Instagram and Twitter, because those are also social media platforms that I've never like thought to post on before for a general audience. Or like the cadence of my posting and stuff like that. So I set a foundation for myself. I quickly realized it was way too much to do. It maybe lasted 2 or 3 months and I was like instantly burned out because I was just like, I wasn't doing this like 5 months ago, and all of a sudden I'm making weekly videos. So there was definitely an adjustment period, but I was really lucky to have someone 20 feet away from me who knew what he was doing.
Yeah, no, I was going to ask you about that because there's the whole, like we said, YouTube is quite frankly a full-time job. Like if you put that much into it, and there's so much to do, but you're obviously already working, and you're therefore trying to be a part-time YouTuber, and you've blown up. So again, you've got this pressure to put videos out and like keep on the momentum that you've built. So how do you balance that, and what does that look like? And obviously it sounds like it ended in burnout. So how did you kind of deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. Part-time YouTubing is like, I think, so difficult because of that. Like, you have to do well in your full-time job because it's your full-time job. It's what you chose as your main career originally, and also because for a lot of people it sustains your living, and that was the case for me. And then YouTubing is like this passion project that takes so much time, that you care so much about, that you're like literally like there's not enough hours in the day to do all the things that I want to do. And so, yeah, I think after making that plan of like, okay, what am I doing for the rest of the year? And then like trying it. And then, like I said, burning out after 2 or 3 months, I really had to slow the heck down. And I was just like, okay, how am I actually going to do this? And that was when I really realized, okay, like I still have to give my full-time job 100%, all my all, because I still really like doing this. Like it's the career that I chose. It's sustaining me to do what I like can do outside of work, and I'm still liking it. And so like I said in my mind, I was like, that's my number one priority. Like if I do anything, it's that for now. And for YouTubing, I was like, okay, like it's not my full-time job yet. At the time, I wasn't even thinking of the possibility that it could be someday. Like I literally, that thought didn't cross my mind. But I was like, I want to do this because I like creating stuff and I like helping people through the things that I created. And so I really took a step back there, and I took maybe like 2 weeks to just like not post and really not do anything and decompress. It was also around the same time that I was doing, I was wedding planning, and I was also freelancing for a startup. And so I just had too much stuff on my plate. It was like, I don't know why I thought I could take that all on, but I couldn't. Like a normal human being.
Yeah. That's insane. I was going to say, like, working a full-time job and YouTubing is hard enough, but you've just thrown 2 extra things into the mix.
Literally, yeah. And I was like, so I really had to prioritize. I was like, well, I'm still getting married, and I can't put that off. I can probably afford not to do this freelance contract because if anything, that's the lowest thing on my thing. So I was just like, okay, work, then wedding planning, then whatever time and energy I have left doing YouTube. And I think like I definitely slowed down a lot more. Like I just posted whenever I could. This kind of pressure to like post weekly sort of thing is a thing because you got to stay relevant, and algorithm changes so quickly and stuff. Even more so now on like TikTok, which is unreal. But yeah, I was like, I just got to post when I can because like otherwise it's not going to be fun for me. And I also knew that just from watching other YouTubers that like your audience can tell when you're just not in it. Like when you are not feeling it, when you're just like forcing a video out and it's not enjoyable to watch. Like whenever I saw creators do that, I was just like, dude, just take a break. Like literally we'll still be here. It's fine. Like no one's going to kill you if you don't make a video, hopefully. And for me, I was just like, yeah, like I know that the world's not going to end if I don't post weekly, like at all, like far from it really. And so, yeah, I gave myself a lot of grace there. And I think I ended up doing like part-time YouTubing for about 2 years, and it was very like inconsistent, up and down. Every time I tried to build a plan of like, I'm going to post this video on this day and that video on this day, and then 3 months from now, I already know what I'm going to make because I already have a script for everything. Like it always failed because life just happened, you know, like COVID happens, what political things happen. It just like, it takes up brain space. And I think with creative work, it has to ebb and flow as naturally as your life ebbs and flows. And so I try, and it's also just like, I always wanted to make something good. And if I can tell when a creator is not doing so hot, I know my audience could. And like, I just thought that was like dishonest and like disingenuous. I was like, I'd rather just rest and make good stuff later. So, if you go through like my YouTube history, there's just like months where I don't post. And it's like, it's very anti-pattern, right? Because people say like, oh, you should always be posting. But like at the end of the day, we're all human. We all got to do our thing and rest.
Yes. And you're right. Like the most important thing is that people can see that you're having fun because they will have fun from a video. There's no point in forcing a video out. There's a difference between, I guess, when you're starting to have that consistency to keep it up so you don't quit versus, hang on, I physically just can't do it. It's not right for me.
Totally.
I think that's a very different thing. So
it is. It's a very fine line. And I think it's really hard to have that balance. But I think like the more that you do it, the easier it gets because I think, like you said, like that initial startup like cost of like, okay, I really just need to get into the rhythm and learn things. Like you really do have to do it frequently and continuously in order to actually gain those skills. But then once some level of foundation is there, which like there's many layers of this foundation where like the first layer is just like, I know how to make a video. And then the second layer might be like, okay, now I know how to like film a video with a DSLR camera. And like you just build and build and momentum build. And I think like with more practice, it actually gets easier to like step away from it for a little bit and come back to it, because you know that like you've learned all these things. But yeah, it's like, I think it's one of the hardest things to like get a good sense of when you're starting YouTube, because you want momentum, but you also don't want to burn out.
Yes, it's a very difficult line, but you I guess you kind of learned the hard way, but at least you figured it out.
Yeah.
Your channel has gone from strength to strength in that time, so it's not like it did you like massive harm. You were putting out content and you were still growing, and you know, you've kind of got 500,000 subscribers plus, which is awesome in that time. It's just an amazing achievement.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, I'm honestly still also like 500,000 people are subscribed to my channel, which means that there's more people than that who are watching my videos, which I'm just like, why? Like, no, I'm genuinely like so honored and happy that they do that. But like, it's a number that it's really hard to fathom. And like, I'm grateful for it, but it's also just like, wow, if I could tell 2017 Mayuko that she was going to have 500,000 subscribers one day and be doing this full time, she would like not lose it in like a bad sense, but like she would just not believe me, you know? And so, yeah, I've definitely learned, like you said, a lot of things the hard way, but I think I'm glad that I went through it that way, because otherwise I might not have ever learned it.
Yeah. You've started part-time, you've put videos out, you've grown the channel, and then you made a decision during that to go full-time with YouTube. What was the journey there, especially given that you were inconsistent during that period and kind of weren't putting out videos all the time, and therefore perhaps there's a bit of, hang on, is this the right thing? Is this something I want to do all the time? Because I've already prioritized my full-time job over this.
Totally. Yeah. So for me, like the most important thing about like being able to jump to YouTube full time for me was like the financial stability. Like that was just a theme for me my whole life. Like in high school, I was like, I want a job that pays well, where I don't have to like completely work 80 hours a week. Like for me, it was really important to have that stability. And like that's a big part of why I went to computer science. That's a big part of why I went into software engineering. And so like, in order to make the jump to YouTubing, that also had to be consistent, because then who else am I? Like I would have lost sight of who I was, sort of thing. And so throughout the time that I was doing part-time YouTubing, I started getting like sponsorship deals, definitely turned on AdSense, started doing affiliate marketing, kind of touched the merch field a little bit. And I started to run these sort of like experiments about just like, okay, like how much can I charge for sponsorships? Like how much money can I actually make from this thing? Like, do I actually want to make this my job was like another big one of like, it's one thing to have a passion, but it's another thing to have to depend on it for your livelihood. And so I kind of, for me, it was literally just experimentation. When I was like, I think one of the things that brought up like, maybe I want to do YouTubing full time was when I started to feel kind of meh about my software engineering job and career in general, where I was like, okay, I kind of get it now. Like, I feel like I can basically do like the job pretty well. And like, I know that I could stay in this field for another 5-10 years, but that just doesn't excite me as much as it used to. And it just felt kind of like, I was just like, I don't know if bored is the right word, but I was like, yeah, whatever. And in contrast to my software engineering job, YouTube continued to be this really exciting thing, because I was learning new skills every day, and like I was meeting new people, and like I knew that I was making a direct impact and stuff like that. And so it was just like very enticing and like very cool. Like it got my heart racing, YouTubing, compared to software engineering. So that was kind of like the gradual switch that flipped of like, okay, maybe I really start considering doing YouTube full time. And so the experiment part, how that comes into play is there was like the two components of like financial stability and like, do I actually want to do this like all the time? The financial stability part, I honestly just did spreadsheets, like through all the things that I did with brands and AdSense and all of that. I kind of projected. I was like, okay, well, last year I made this much money, and that was doing it part-time. Like next year, if I spend all of my time on this, could I at least make the same amount of money, or more? And I was definitely going to take like a pay cut for sure because, you know, software engineering jobs pay well. But luckily, you know, I had my husband who was a software engineer who I could lean on. Like he was a big part of that, of like allowing me and supporting me to like take that risk and just be like, okay, we'll be fine. But also like my friend Jarvis, who I started YouTube with at the time, also made that jump a year prior. He's like not married, doesn't have a significant other. And the thing that he said was like, I basically, he saved up enough savings to basically not have to make income for like 6 months. And in that time, he could start like really just putting energy into the channel. And I thought that was really cool. I was just like, yeah, like that way, you know, I don't have the pressure to be like, okay, I need to start making money now. So let me change all of my content to be money making. And instead I was able to really explore like, okay, is this really what I want to do? Like, it's like a good trial run sort of thing. I was like investing in myself, if you will. So that was, and I think like, we knew that we had the savings. We knew that, like I could probably make as much, money as last year doing YouTube. And that was like enough for us. That helped to kind of answer the financial stability part. And then as far as that, like, could I actually be doing this like full time? I had the really great privilege of like being able to take a lot of time off between every job that I had. And so I always took at least 2 or 3 weeks off. There was one time where I took 6 weeks off between jobs. And literally during those times, I would like pretend to be a full-time YouTuber. I would literally role play. Yeah, I would be like, okay, let's like for this week, I'm just going to make content every day, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 and see how that feels. And it was like I made like a little apprenticeship for myself without any supervision. And
whatever works.
And I kind of just was like, could I spend like 40 hours a week on this job and still enjoy it? And I knew that like a job is a job. Like no matter if I'm doing the thing that I absolutely love, there's going to be days and weeks where I'm just like, I hate this. I want to quit it because that's just who I am. I'm very impatient. But overall, I wanted to see like on average, could this turn out better than what I have going for me right now? And so I did a lot of those experiments. I did like week-long experiments. Sometimes I would just like have a 3-day weekend and be like, okay, I have the Monday off. So instead of like not working, instead of like just taking the day off and doing whatever, let's just spend the whole day making a video. And I think through that, I was just like, okay, I think I could do it. Also knowing that I don't know until I try. Like, I don't know what my capabilities or limitations are until I actually say yes to it and dive in head first. But I had enough like data points for me to be like, I don't think this will crash and burn. Like, I have good reason to believe that this might just work out. It might not, but let's just see what happens. So that was my mentality going into it. And so, I quit my job January 2020, took about like a month or two to just like chill out and like regain my sense of self. And then at the end of March, I like earnestly started to like make content, which coincided with the beginning of COVID, interestingly. Had I known that COVID was going to happen, this might not have ever happened. So I literally took the last window that I could possibly get to do this.
Did you quit your job to go full-time, or did you quit your job just to see what it was like with a thought that actually you could go back because this is one of your, you know, post-job breaks?
Yeah, it was the latter actually. Like I wasn't like I'm quitting to be a YouTuber. I like what it was more I'm quitting to allow time and space for myself to figure out what it is that I want to do, which the most likely scenario is YouTubing. But I was going through a lot of like mental health things at the time. Like I had really severe anxiety and panic. And so I just knew that like I needed to like just take some time off. And so that coincided with all of it, which it was actually very related. Like going from a very stable software engineering job to a very unstable, risky full-time YouTuber thing completely threw me through for a loop. But like all of those things had to happen where I was just like, okay, let me just like get back on my feet a little bit. And then like, once I feel good, like maybe I'll try the YouTube thing. And then like, yeah, when I started making videos, I was actually like revisiting my journal a couple of days ago from around that time. And it kind of feels like I was like trying it out in March and then I never stopped. And I'm like, well, it's May of 2022 and look where I am.
Like, you never actually made that decision. You just didn't not make a decision.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like there were maybe a couple of times where I was just like, could I keep doing this next year? And I was like, yeah, but also like, don't worry about that. You have 2 months of videos that you need to deliver on for the next 2 months. So like, let's just keep going. And it was just like constant, like go, 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 go. And so there was never a point where I was just like, this might not be working as well as I thought. It's just like, it's been a rolling window of like, it's continuing to work. And so I'm just going to keep doing it. And then maybe at some point it will not work. And then I'll, figure it out then. I'll deal with it then.
I love that mentality. That is so cool. I need some of that. It's just like, let's see how it goes.
It's hard. I mean, like I'm very not that kind of person, but I think seeing examples of people around me do that gave me the social proof that it was okay to do that. But granted, I went to hours and hours and hours of therapy, and I talked to my husband so much about this, and I did a lot of self-reflecting to just be like okay with it. It's definitely not easy. Like I think it's great to say chase your dreams, do what you want, and follow your passions, but it's a whole other beast to actually go and do it. Especially because, the world is uncertain. Life is uncertain. Who knows what's going to happen? But I will say I'm really glad that I did it. Like, I'm a little over 2 years past my anniversary, and I'm just like, dang, like honestly, the longest time that I worked at a company as a software engineer was 2.5 years. And so, once I pass like the fall this year, I'll have been a YouTuber longer than any job that I've ever had.
That is so cool.
Yeah, I'm like, this is great, but how did that happen? Like, I went to a 4-year university for software engineering, and I guess I just didn't last very long.
But clearly this was your calling. This is where you were meant to be. And that was just your stepping stone to get here.
I suppose so.
I mean, what would I
make content about if I didn't?
Exactly. Right? Speaking of, now that you're not a software engineer officially, what does the future of your channel look like? Are you still going to kind of create content in that space? Are you trying to slowly kind of go into a different area? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I think my channel to me is a very like living, breathing thing, and it'll adjust course as my life changes, the world changes. And the way that I see it right now is like my current thoughts about my channel is I still really like technology. I think technology is really cool, and I've taken so many great lessons, and like I've met so many cool people as a result of technology, and it's still something that I'm genuinely interested in. Do I want to code every day? Like, no, I don't want to do that. But like, I think I really want to just continue, like, I do want to make content about tech. I don't know if it's always going to be like, here's how to print hello world as quickly as possible. Like, it's maybe not that sort of tech content, but I think there's still a lot of room for like different kinds of tech content to exist. And so this year, one of the things that I've started doing as kind of like an experiment as everything I do, but I really wanted to dive deeper into questions that I've had about technology and life in technology. And so I started creating these like deep dive videos about big questions that I've had about the tech industry, which aren't necessarily super technical, but they're just things that I've always been like, I wonder why. And I've been, like researching and talking to people about what is the answer? What is it that we're doing here? And so I started with a video about like, why the heck does everyone want to work at a FANG company? I've talked about like technical interview processes. Last month, I made a video about like, is Silicon Valley still like the best place to go to for tech? And it's been really fun because it's allowed me to explore like the questions that I've honestly had for a very, very long time. Sometimes it does feel like I'm writing a English paper on with citations and references about things, but like, I mean, that's the beauty of YouTube, where like you learn something and then the product of what you learn can get put out into a video for others' entertainment. And I think that's a really cool thing. So I'm going to keep doing that for now. Definitely will also continue the lifestyle videos and stuff, because I'm a living, breathing human whose life is going to change, and I want to talk about that too. So hopefully everyone will come along for the ride.
For sure. I love watching your stuff. It's also just so chilled. Like, you get such good vibes watching your stuff. It's like, I'm like relaxed now. I really enjoy it.
Thank you. I try. I like surrounding myself with chill vibes, so I try to like bring that to the video as much as possible. And it really actually makes me happy when people are like, "Oh, I feel so chilled out or relaxed, or that everything's gonna be okay after watching my videos." Because my goal is not necessarily to like coddle or like make like relaxing content, but it is to like provide perspectives that are not shocking, not jarring, that are kind of like, okay, let's think about this in the long term or from many different perspectives, and just have a more balanced view about life and technology in general, because those are the conversations that I really crave. Like, I think I wish I had more of that in my life, so I'm creating that space for myself with YouTube.
Yeah, no, it's really cool, and especially in the area and the niche that you're in, which kind of what you said at the beginning is that you expect this, you know, hardcore masculine kind of vibe with that sort of stuff, and what you bring is like a whole different energy, and it just works so well. So yes, we're very grateful. I promise you.
I appreciate that.
Good. One question that I forgot to ask earlier, but speaking of kind of the whole masculine vibes around, you know, software engineering, tech, all of that stuff, as a female in tech or even on YouTube, what has that been like for you? Because I kind of get the impression that it's harder for women on YouTube because the comments are just so much worse and just like completely unnecessary. But as someone who's obviously succeeded and had 4 years plus on this platform, what has your journey and experiences been like with that?
Yeah, no, that's such a good question. I love talking about this because it's been a journey for myself as well. I will say that I think like being on YouTube, being a woman on YouTube, I think I wouldn't say that I have an advantage, but like I think I've come into it with some existing skills from being a woman in tech. In that both technology and YouTubers, there's a lot of dudes.
Yep.
You just see the creators in the comments. There's a lot of dudes, and so I learned a lot in tech about how to deal with a lot of dudes, who are both like who can both be the most supportive and kind allies ever, and those who can also be like incredibly super toxic. And so I think for me, especially like the unique part of being on YouTube is, right, like you're exposed to an audience that you've never like seen before, and like you're not talking in person with a lot of these people, and so people leave comments about on things that it's just like, dude, why did you have to say that? And I always challenge it where I'm just like, I don't know if this person would ever say that to my face if I ever met them and we actually had a relationship with each other. But I think like one of the things that really helped me to, I guess like be more at peace with everything, because the most challenging part is like the comments and stuff and what people say about you and like discrediting you all the time, which happens, you know, honestly to both genders, but like I think especially to women, is that like I used to really take these comments to heart, but then I realized those comments only have value if I place value on them. So like the day in the life of a software engineer video, there's not a whole lot of coding in it because watching someone coding is boring. They're just typing. And I did that for entertainment purposes. But there were a lot of comments before that was just like, you coded for 2 minutes of the day. You're not a real software engineer. Or like, you don't know how to code. You barely did this. And I'm just like, and at first I was just like, oh my God, maybe I'm not a real software engineer. Maybe I'm a complete fraud and I don't know what I'm doing or what I'm talking about. And I really like took it to heart. But then eventually I was just like, this is stupid. I know what I did that day and they don't know what I did. And I only am hurt by those words because I think they're true and I'm believing them. But like, who are these people? They have just judgments that are mean that they didn't have to say out loud. And if I choose to listen to them, yes, they're going to hurt. But I could also like know what my truth is and just be like, yeah, but that's not right. So I'm whatever, bye. And so I think that's helped tremendously. And I also have like a really strong list of words on YouTube that are blocked by like the system, where like you say one, literally if you say that I'm kawaii, like Japanese word for cute, in one of my comments, it automatically goes to the blacklist. Because I hate, like, I just, that's one of those words. So I'm just like, all right, get out, weeb. And so like, I have that. I think like, I also try to reinforce like healthy commenting behavior in my comments as well, which is labor that I don't have to do, but I choose to do. It is really difficult to be a woman in tech and and on YouTube. But I think, I surround myself with good people and I choose to believe in the words of the people that I truly care about. And I think that's helped a lot more than like focusing on the negative of like what people have to say about me. Because I know what I'm about. Like I know what I'm here for. I know why I'm making videos. No one else can really say that. And like I think I have a pretty good, like I have great people around me to also keep me in check in case I do step over a line, which I honestly historically never have. But yeah, man, it's hard. I wish people were just nicer, just in general, you know?
Right. Well, it's easy when they're sitting at the keyboard, isn't it, to do whatever they want to do.
Well, so, okay, one of the features that YouTube recently put out was like, so like on Twitch, you can put a set of rules so that whenever anybody clicks into the chat for the first time, they see those rules, they have to agree with it, and then they type in. And YouTube started doing that recently where like when you're commenting on someone's thing for the first time, if the creator has it set, you can like have a thing that shows up with like a list of rules. And so like to me, I'm just like, YouTube, where have you been? Like, please, don't you know what's going on your platform? Like, please improve your comments. But the fact that they did that, I was really happy about. And so I have those on my channel where I'm just like, don't say stuff that you wouldn't say to my face. Be kind and respectful. I do like hide comments and delete ones that I don't like love. Like at the end of the day, I'm not just a creator, I'm also creating a community. And so it's really important to me to have like good conversations and like kind, respectful, chill vibes.
Yes. I think I've said this already twice in this last hour, but I really, really love your mindset around some of these things. Well, all of these things, to be honest. And it's just refreshing and nice, and it's so good to hear. So
thanks. I'm so glad. Honestly, like, yeah, this stuff is. I wish there was more like something about like community around like women in YouTube and stuff, because like we all struggle with it and it's hard, and a lot of the time we have to struggle with it silently because all the stuff is like directed very personally at us. But yeah, I think we're at the end of the day, we're all here together. So I'm glad that it could help. Like this, it took me a long time to like be okay with the comments that I would get. And these days I don't honestly read a lot of them. And when I do come across a bad one, I'm just like the thing that my reaction now is just like, dude, what happened to you?
Yes. Why are you like this?
Yeah. Like what? I don't understand what compelled you to say this, but this is unacceptable. And then I delete it or something. And I don't give it a second thought.
No. It's just a shame to think of the people that like the women that stop themselves or like either don't put themselves out in the first place or start and then stop. It's like that. It's just so frustrating and sad, and it's like that shouldn't be the case, but hopefully
I know. I get it too though. It's so hard to like put yourself out there and then like because in some ways it feels like you're putting yourself out there and welcoming like those comments because you know it's going to happen. Even if you're not welcoming them, they're just going to happen because that's just a product of the internet, unfortunately. And like it is really scary because you're accepting the fact that people are going to be mean to you, which nobody wants that ever. No. So yeah, it is unfortunate that this is a thing. So if any of you listening have ever thought to put a mean comment, don't. Which I don't think any of the people who are listening to this have.
Let's
but like,
not. There's probably only 3 people listening, but like.
I'm sure they're lovely. They've probably only put positivity out on the internet.
Yes. Please stick to that. Okay, last question, if it's okay. I know we've run a little over, but
no, absolutely.
If Mayuko was starting YouTube today and had kind of always wanted to be a YouTuber, what would you tell yourself if you're having those thoughts now?
Yeah, honestly, I feel like 2022 content creation YouTube does look super different from 2017 content creation YouTube, but I think I would still say the same, not the same thing, but regardless of how intense it feels like to create content and how it feels like there's no space and like it's super saturated, I think number one is like, yes, there's still plenty of space for people on the internet. If you think about like any specific genre on YouTube, there's maybe like 2 to 10 top channels on there, and then everyone else is either like they didn't continue their channel or they stopped posting or they're super, super tiny. And so like if you just think like, I always think that where I'm just like, wow, like whenever I get into a new hobby, I try to find like the top 5 channels, and then I sometimes only find 2, and I'm like, there's literally only 2 people who are making content about this. Like, why? Like, there should be more people making content about this. And so, like, even today, I think that's true. There's still plenty of space for people on the internet. And then I think the second thing that I would say, which is maybe most important, is to have fun with it. I've learned so much about like being creative in the last however many years I've been doing this. I wouldn't have typically characterized myself as a creative person prior. I was a coding software engineer who thought in logic. And these days I really have embraced that creative side of me. And I've learned so much about like how you can't force creativity, how creativity comes from times where you're not like, you're not desperate to make stuff. Like you're just inspired, things are healthy, things are going well. Sometimes, yeah, like good art comes from like terrible times. Yes, I don't deny that. But for me, I've learned that when things are fun, it's because the creativity is flowing in a good way. And I think it's really just important to have fun with it all, because it can easily be very unfun, I guess. And if you make fun stuff, you will have fun, your audience will have fun. It's literally just like win-win-win all the way around. And if you're not having fun, then like don't force yourself to have fun either. Just take a break.
No one likes forced fun.
No, absolutely not. Definitely not. If you force a kid to have fun, they'll throw a tantrum at you.
100%. I might throw a tantrum at me.
Right.
Not do it. Mayuko, thank you so much. This hour has absolutely flown by. I've had such a fun time talking to you, and I really appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much.
Same. Thank you so much for having me. This was a blast.
Amazing. Thank you. Hey guys, thanks for watching, and I really hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, you can catch up with the last episode over here and catch up with the rest of the season over here. Links to where you can find Mayuko are all in the description, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.